Welcome back to the SwimSwam Breakdown. As always, I'm your host, Coleman Hodges from Brooklyn, New York, joined by the swim scribe himself, David Clossy from St. Cloud, Minnesota. And we are here to preview conference week number 1. Of course, we've already kicked off the NCAA conference championship meets this week when we're recording this. However, we're talking about the Big Four NCAA Division I conferences, SEC, ACC, Big 10, and Big 12. And this coming week, we will see the SEC championships for men and women, the ACC championships for men and women, and the Big 10 championships for women. And those are the three meets, but five gender championships that we're talking about today. So, David, thanks for being here. Thanks for being willing to just completely nerd out and preview all of this very, very fast swimming. And on that note, let's go ahead and just get started with the SEC men first off. Any top thing that you are excited to see on the men's side at these SEC championships that will be in Knoxville, Tennessee next week, David?
I mean, I think one of the swimmers that I'm super intrigued to see is got to be Josh Leando, right? Because obviously he didn't he win the SwimSwam poll for the predicted to be the highest scoring swimmer that isn't Hubert Koch, who will also be swimming at this meet. But mainly the reason why I mentioned him is just because of the Florida training that he does. He's not known to be super insane in season, still currently sitting with his mid-season time as the fastest 50 freestyle with an 18.40 tied with Ilya Karun. But just being able to see, we saw what he was able to do in short course meters, breaking that 100 butterfly world record. It is, a lot of people talk about him maybe being able to take a shot at Dressel's, but honestly, maybe Jordan Crooks's 100 free NCAA record, as he's the third swimmer to break 40 seconds, but a lot of talk specifically around Leando and 42.80 in that 100 fly. Not expecting it to happen at the SEC championships, but a good preview for what we'll eventually see. And knowing Leando is going to be a probably just ridiculously fast medley relay split on the 50 and 100 fly, because he's really good at doing that in particular.
Man, he really is. And I don't feel like we talked about his world record enough, which was set in October in Toronto in his home pool, in his home city. He shaved. I think he got maybe a couple days of rest.
I think he did a drop taper. I think I know Braden commented it in an article recap saying that he heard from that Leando and Ilya were planning on doing a couple days extra rest in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, which is great, but also insane to think he broke Caleb Dressel's world record.
Broke Ponte's.
I'm sorry. He broke Noe Ponte's world record on a drop taper, with a couple days rest in October. What? Yeah. So as you said, maybe a preview of things to come from this SEC championships or this NCAA championship season as a whole. But certainly Leando has his work cut out for him in his events. In the 100 fly, he's certainly looking at Luca Orlando as competition, who's been 43.8 this season. Leando's been 43.4. But then the sprint freestyles, Guy Caribe, specifically in the 50 free, has also been 18.4 this season. You have Jerry Hribar from LSU and Luke Niebrich from Mizzou, who have both been 18.7. So I think the 50 free, he looks pretty solid there. And the 100 free, he's obviously the, I think, 2-time defending NCAA champion in that. But
that's right.
Caribe currently 40.9. Leando has been 41.1. Hribar has been 41.1 as well. And Niebrich from Mizzou has been 41.6. So that field looked like it might be a little bit tighter. And I'm specifically looking at Guy Caribe as someone who could maybe upset Leando in that. But I think it'll be really exciting to see those sprint free and fly events specifically to see what Caribe and Liendo are able to do in their senior seasons.
Yeah, Liendo and Crooks had a pretty insane duel in the 100 free last year, and now it's just Kariba's stepping up and taking that Tennessee spot next to him, and he's a swimmer that I'm also super excited to see. I really want to see him break 40 at some point this season.
Yeah, and he does too. He specifically stated to us that's one of his goals. He's looking at Jordan's 100 free record, that 39.8, I think.
Yes.
He's looking at the 18-second barrier and the 50 free, and we know that Tennessee has a history of swimming really fast at SEC, so
Yeah.
this might be the meet where it happens. You mentioned Hubert Koch earlier, and I think that is an event that, or one of his potential events, is one that I definitely had circled, which is the 100 back. He's the defending NCAA champion from last year. He was 43-2 to set every record in the books, but currently the SEC has 10 of the top 20 ranked men nationally in that 100 back. So it is an exceedingly deep field. Koch's teammate Will Modglin has been 43-2 also this season already. But then you have Ruard Van Ranen from Georgia, 43-9. Koch is there at 44-4. Luca Orlando, maybe he'll swim it. Who knows? 44-7. I guess I think for SECs, they're keeping their original lineup. I know for ACCs, it's like the same event lineup as last year. So they're not like modifying it for the new NCAA schedule. So I'm guessing SECs probably doing the same thing. I can actually look at that right now.
They did SEC already kind of stray from it a little bit. Didn't they kind of do their own lineup normally? They do like a extra day.
It's a 5-day meet, but now ACCs does that as well. Like they had the same event lineup as SEC. So I don't know. Well, 200 fly and 100 back might be on the same day is all I'm trying to say. But anyway, there's a lot of depth. There's 5 guys in the SEC who have dipped under the 45-second barrier. That's not including Johnny Marshall from Florida. He's been 45-1, but he had a sensational postseason last year. So a lot of depth there in that event specifically, and I think that could be a significant preview for the men's 100 back at this NCAA championships this year.
Yeah, zeroing in on Koch specifically, because obviously we haven't really seen much from him in the NCAA because he didn't compete with Texas during the fall semester and then is back for the spring semester. We, of course, saw him do a bunch of insane stuff during the World Cup, most notably. I don't know if I just missed this or forgot. I didn't realize how fast he was in the 200 back at the Eddie Reese Showdown, 138.1. He's on just not a midseason time. And he is the fastest by almost a full second, not just in the SEC, but in the country right now. It's 139.00 is the next fastest. Next fastest in the SEC is 139.03.
And perhaps the craziest part about that's a 5-second ad.
Yeah,
for Hubert Koch. It's just like, what?
It's so crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's obviously found a lot of mastery in that event.
Yeah. How'd you know? He's a really good 200 backstroker.
SwimSwam ranked him as the number 3 male to watch for 2026, I believe it was, which doesn't take into account short course yards at all. And I don't know if like that was a unanimous agree for the commenters. However, Hubie Koch looking like he's going to have a big year. He certainly could have some massive swims to follow up his performances from NCAAs last year, where he broke both backstroke all-time records and won the 200 IM. Okay, so quick update here. SECs will have a modified schedule, so they are doing it differently. I don't know the new NCAA lineup well enough to know if this actually mirrors it or not, even though I don't think it does. This is bizarre. They have the mile with the 2 relays on day 1. Then it's 100 back, 200 fly, 100 breast, day 2. Day 3, 100 fly, 400 IM, 200 free. So this is actually looking more. Day 4, 200 breast, 50 free, 500 free. Day 5, 200 IM, 100 free, 200 back. Uh, I don't totally know how they got there. It's I guess it's I don't know. It's bizarre. But all that to say, 100 back and 200 fly is still on the same day. So
Perfect.
Luca Orlando probably won't swim the 100 back.
They changed everything but that double.
Yeah, exactly. What a weird schedule. What a fun meet to watch because like we'll just see some events that have like never been on the same day. And it doesn't really mirror NCAA's or the new schedule. It's kind of like a combination of both.
I wonder if this is a
Um,
result of like a bunch of coaches having like specific requests, like, "Hey, can we split up these events because I have this one swimmer that I want to swim?" Oh yeah, sure. And then you do that like 3 times, and no one else had any
right?
problems with it because like as long as they're not creating like really obvious conflicts, you're probably fine. You have a lot of freedom to do a lot
Yeah.
of weird stuff.
I wonder how that does get decided. Like if there's like a committee of non-coaches or if it's like or if it's a committee of coaches who's like this is what we want, and then do they just like spend hours if not days arguing because they're like, well, my swimmer has this double and I don't want them to do that. Anyway. I'm sure someone knows. Maybe if you know, you can leave it in the comments. But moving on, more SEC men action. I mean, just looking through the rankings, the Texas men in breaststroke and IM look ridiculous, and I hope we get to see that on display because as of right now, top 4. This is in the SEC. Top 4 in the 100 breast. Top 4 in the 200 breast. Top 4 and 7 in the top 9 in the 200 IM, 8 in the top 11 in the 200 IM, and top 3, 4 in the top 5, and 5 in the top 9 of the 400 IM. Holy moly. I mean, obviously there's not enough spaces in A finals at NCAAs for this. Like I don't think they're going to be able to quite pull off this dominance, but I think at SECs this is like the place to kind of do that, and they have there will be other people swimming very fast, but good god. That is for 4 events I can't imagine a team that has just more dominance than that.
The saturation of just Texas that I'm seeing in the 200 IM in particular, it reminds me of Big 12 Texas.
Mm. Yeah. And again, like you look at other events and you're like, okay, like there are other teams, like especially sprint free, I wouldn't say they're super deep. There's other teams you're like, wow, okay. But then you get to some events. I mean, the 200 free, they have 6 in the top 11. And you're like, oh, I see why they are the definite favorite to win SECs and NCAAs because like these mid distance events, these events that Bob Bowman is known for, 200 free, 200 IM, 400 IM, it's like there's just so many that are so fast. So I'm interested to see. Bob Bowman knows how to get his guys swimming fast pretty much all the time, and we've seen it. We saw this kind of take shape and form at when he was at ASU, but it's kind of it's a well-oiled machine seemingly at this point where they swam really fast during the season. They're probably going to swim faster at SECs, and then they're probably going to swim faster at NCAAs. And so to see the kinds of times, especially maybe some of the newer swimmers from Texas are able to put up, Evan Bailey, Xavier Maszuk from Poland, who's finally at Texas. Some of these newer guys, Campbell McKean, really excited to see what kinds of times, how they react to this SEC championship format. But expect to see a lot of orange in these finals, in
Oh
these
yeah.
mid distance finals. My last point, or my last thing I was really excited about is the sprint free relays, which I think between, well, you have a lot of teams that I think are going to make it really exciting. Uh, let's see, there are 6 teams within 1 second, essentially 7 teams within 1 second of each other in the 200 free relay right now in the SEC. And in the 400 free relay, oh my God, 5 teams have been 247.
Yeah.
Florida, Texas, Georgia, LSU, Tennessee. So far, like 247. That's a really good 400 free relay. To have 20 guys that have put those together. Those sprint free relays are going to be really exciting, and I think we're going to see them come down to very small margins, which kind of displays the depth that we see in the SEC.
And will probably lead to at least one false start.
which we do always see in these meets. Hopefully it's not too impactful, but also you gotta love the drama when it happens. Yeah, I mean, Florida always has massive relays at this meet. I think Tennessee definitely unlocked something and figured something out, as they are the last year, as they are now the NCAA record holders in both the 200 and 400 free relays. They lost major pieces in Lamar Jackson and Jordan Crooks, but they've kind of had guys step up to the plate. And I think the 2 guys, Gikaribe and Nikolai Blackman, who were left from those relays, have kind of ushered the others in and been like, listen, we now have a tradition. We got this. And so
we have a standard here.
Exactly. Yeah. So seeing Tennessee continue to do that at a really high level. We also have to remember that Tennessee didn't have a traditional midseason meet. They had like the dual meet challenge. And meaning they were just swimming a lot. And I think with maybe a little more focused racing, they could put up some really impressive times. So yeah, I'm excited for those sprint free relays. I think they're going to be really good. Anything else from the SEC men, David, or anything else to transition us to the SEC women?
Well, here, let's do a 2-for-1. Let's just talk about an event category and kind of distance and mid-distance freestyle. And the men, mainly just, Florida has been looking pretty good there. And then also you add in, I'm excited to kind of see where Rex Maurer is going to end up sitting in the 500 freestyle. Wasn't really shown too much at mid-season, but then dropped from his existing season best time during the Texas Showdown meet to take the top time in the NCAA and SEC with a 409.1. And then the biggest, again, like I mentioned with Leendo, how they kind of are going to be Florida's going to be a little bit slower to creep into things. Ahmed Jowdy, very exciting looking pickup for Florida, and excited to see what he does at the end of the year. And this will be our kind of first bigger hint. And then we'll probably see even more later on. And then there's also got some good battles in those same event categories over on the women's side of things. I love the 500 free with Jillian Cox and Kennedy Dobson. 400th separating those two. Those are the top 2 times in the whole NCAA and the SEC. And those were done at different meets. They were not next to each other.
Which is, just
They're both
crazy.
432s. They are looking real quick there. And I believe it's also those 2 in the same order, but slightly separated in the 1650 as well. And then when you transition over to the 200 free, it's also just looking, really competitive in the same kind of way that you were highlighting those men's relays. We have 6 swimmers that are in the 142 range that are kind of look like they're in not from like the bottom to the top of 142. It's gone from 142.1 to 142.6. So that is a very close range for those top 6 swimmers. And of course, some of the other swimmers looking to probably strike up into that bunch as well.
Yeah, and the 200 free is one of those events where we see some swimmers ranked, and I'm kind of like, are they actually going to swim that? Like, I'm looking at a Campbell Chase from Texas who's 11th in the SEC right now. Angie Coe is 12th, right behind her at 140. They're both 144.0, and I'm like, will they swim that? Will they not? But the like you said, those top six: Nicolette Padar from Texas, Kennedy Dobson, Lily Nesty from Texas, Camille Spank, and Ella Jansen from Tennessee, then Aaron Gimmel of Texas. I feel like those six all hard hitters, all capable of a lot of speed. So really excited to see how that duel all plays out. One more note on the men's side. We officially have not only Ahmed Jawadi, but Ahmed Hafnaoui, his Tunisian teammate. He has raced for Florida. He's finally back in the SEC. I guess, will he make the SEC team is perhaps a question. He's only swam, I think, one dual meet, maybe two, but he swam against Florida State. He put up a 4:23.9 in the 500 free. We've seen what he's capable of in the past. Not really in yards so much. He did have a couple dual meets with Indiana a couple years ago, but uh, it would it would be really exciting to see him compete at SECs and get in that distance mix as well. If because we know he has had that potential in the past. But then, yes, on the women's side, Dobson v. Cox for the 500 and the mile, I think is going to be really exciting on the women's side. The crazy to me that Kennedy Dobson dropped that 4:32.96 at a dual meet in
Yeah.
January versus Tennessee, because I guess why not? I was there, and it was, it's like a 500 free at a dual meet, and I'm kind of just like, and then I look up and I'm like, wait, sorry, what's happening?
And she didn't race the 5 free at midseason. She swam the 200 and also the 8 free relay and then the 1650.
That's so bizarre. So yeah, maybe something happened. Maybe she got sick that day. Yeah, who knows? But Kennedy Dobson looking solid. She's only a freshman this year. Also worth noting. But then yeah, Jillian Cox, defending NCAA champion in the 500 and the mile, top seed in both, and so should be some fun battles to watch. Another swimmer I'm really excited to see on the women's side, Anita Battazo, is having a crazy good season for Florida. She is top in the NCAA in the 100 breast by nearly a second to ahead of Mackenzie Soroki of Tennessee. Soroki's been 57.78. Battazo has been 56.87. She went that in a dual meet versus Virginia. And she also has the fastest 50 breast split by half a second in the SEC. She's been 26.41. Again, did that at the Virginia dual meet. And so she is just seemed to ascend this year. She's way out there. And so I'm really excited to see how she can taper and hopefully show a little more prowess in the SEC. She's also top seed in the 200 breast. She's been 206.9. I'm curious to see if she can kind of get down there a little bit and maybe challenge for put up a time that might challenge for a top 3 spot at NCAAs, which that event seems to be kind of locked down by the defending champ Lucy Bell right now. But I think there will be some serious depth at NCAAs in March.
Yeah, and I believe you previously picked her as the spoiler to potential American women's sweep of NCAA titles. Do you still? I would imagine you're still feeling pretty confident in that.
I mean, she's looking pretty good in that 100 breast right now. I think. Let me just make super sure. But I think yeah. I mean, Lucy Bell has been 57.6. Battazo's been 56.8. I think it's probably worth watching how conferences play out, but I think she has a very solid shot. You also have Anely Jefimova and Anastasia Gorbenko, who have also been 57.6, same time as Lucy Bell, also both not American. And so they're ACC, which we'll get to, but I still feel pretty good about that pick as of
I would
right
too.
now, I would say. Um, last little bit I have for the SEC women is just curious on your thoughts on this, David. The Texas women looking to defend their SEC team title after losing a lot of really good swimmers last year, notably Emma Stickland, who was the three-time defending NCAA champion in the 200 fly. And uh, and a number of other scorers, Grace Cooper. Uh, there are a few others, but they've looked young. They've looked scrappy this year. And I guess when you also go down the psych sheets and look at their scoring potential, they've certainly got the firepower, I think, more than any other team. How do you feel about their chances defending?
I think they've still got a pretty good shot at defending for basically the reasons you laid out, right? It feels like
Yeah.
you know, I wouldn't feel as confident if it was like if we're talking about this at the NCAA championship theater, if that
Hmm.
was what we're looking at, because I feel like that extra stage makes it a bit harder to try and with like a younger, scrappier team to try and get up to that firepower. But I feel like they have a decent amount of scoring depth in a lot of events that kind of gives you a big safety net, and they definitely have a lot of potential to move through this meet and go in there. But I do think it's going to be an interesting team battle.
I I'm going through right now and looking, and it's just like you said. I don't think any other team quite has the depth of Texas. They have legitimate scoring threats in pretty much every event, and I'm looking at like top 8, top 16 ish, which I think SEC scores 24. But at the top, you've got at least 1 to 2 Longhorns in the top 8 and seated in the top 8 right now in pretty much every event. Florida has some high end depth. Tennessee has some high end depth, but again, top to bottom, it looks like the Longhorn women are in solid shape to defend.
Yeah.
Um, so with that, that's the AAC. Sorry, that's the SECs. Let's move on to the ACCs. We'll start with the women for the ACCs. I think there's a lot of really exciting races here, especially when you consider the additions of Cal and Stanford from last year. Uh, and then all the other teams. You obviously have the defending 5-time defending NCAA champions in Virginia. But with that, let's start with the sprint freestyles. No more Gretchen Walsh, which is crazy, but still so much depth and so much speed in those shorter events. Uh, and really across the board, it's not just Virginia, although Virginia does have 5 in the top 10 for the 50 freestyle right now. But Louisville has made a statement these last few years with their sprinting core. Obviously, Stanford, Tori Husk, top seed right now in the 50 free, 21-0. People were talking about if she has the 200 IM or 50 free to choose from. But Stanford has 2 in the top 10 as well. But let's see. 16 women under the 22-second barrier so far this season. That's insane. Yeah, so really fast. I think there will be some really good duels there. I think if Tori Husk decides to swim the 50 free, that's not even a gimme. You've got Sarah Curtis of Virginia, Julia Dennis from Louisville, Anna Moish and Claire Curzan also in there from Virginia. And so even if Husk decides to swim the 50, it's not a given for her, I don't think. She's not even top seed in the 100 free right now. So I think I'm really excited to see those battles play out.
Yeah, those are looking loaded. 50 is always a fun race. A close 50 is also incredibly fun. And yeah, there's that bit of question mark right now. Will Tori Husk be able to swim it? Will she choose to swim it or not? And like you said, even with a current psych sheet lead of 1700, that's normally about as comfortable as you can get without being an absolute slam dunk favorite in a 50. That's not not really comfortable at all. And you mentioned, sitting fourth right now, Anna Moish, she not only has got that, sitting fourth right now in the 50, was also looking incredible in the 100 and 200 in particular during midseason. And,
Mhm.
we're just looking at the sprint freestyles at the start. You're already seeing the kind of start also that UVA dominance that's going to permeate throughout a lot of events here as they are loaded in those events. But with, Louisville trying to make a run at them, and they've got a strong sprint free course. Going to feel like a lot of good team battling happening in those specific events, at least, and then some outside spoilers from Tori Husk. And then I really am interested to see what Tori Husk and Anna Mosh can do in that 100 freestyle, because they're sitting right now 45.98 to 46.15, and then Sarah Curtis is the next fastest with a 46.6. So those two are the current top two. Husk is always a swimmer though that I'm gonna bet on at any kind of big stage. Now, is conference a big enough stage for her is maybe the question.
Yeah, I mean, and especially with a new head coach this year and Chris Lindauer. I mean, Stanford has been humming all year. The women have looked sensational. I mean, they look like a legitimate number 2 team to Virginia, who is again 5-time defending champion. It's almost a question of like, could Stanford give Virginia a run for their money? I don't think they will do that at conference, but at NCAA's, Stanford doesn't have the depth that Virginia does, but they certainly have the star power. You look at the trio of Tori Husk, Caroline Bricker, and Lucy Bell, and it's like they could win 8 NCAA titles between the three of them, if not 9. Uh, it's like I think Lucy and Caroline will certainly overlap in at least one event, which is why I said that, but maybe they won't. Um, but any way you slice it, they are such a force. The rest of the Stanford women have looked really strong as well, and so I think ACCs will be a nice preview of that. We'll really see maybe how much they can do. That's another reason why I'm really looking forward to pretty much every relay at ACCs. I'm sure there will be a lot of solid teams, but seeing the battle between the Stanford women and the Virginia women, I think is going to be really great. Like right now in the 200 free relay, I think that one in particular is going to be great because you have Louisville in the mix as well. I think those 3 teams are going to put up some historic numbers. But the 400 free relay, Stanford is actually 3 100ths ahead of Virginia right now in their seed time. And so again, I think this just displays how good Lindauer has had this team swimming so far this season. And then in the 800 free relay, Virginia famously doesn't really swim that in season. They don't even have a seed time. But Stanford has been 6:51.0, and with Cal being 6:55. And so, yeah, I think all the relays are going to be good, but in particular, those free relays, I'm really excited to see the showdowns between Stanford and Virginia. Anything else on the women's side that particularly excites you for this ACC championships, David?
We've talked about her a couple times, but just very specifically, Lucy Bell is,
Mm.
was kind of a really interesting swimmer to watch last season when she won that NCAA title in the 200 breast, and now during she's got a pretty dominant top time in all of Division One right now with a 2:03.72, which is a personal best that she set at the Stanford dual meet at the end of January. So that's a good sign, and it'll be fun to watch her. And of course, you're talking about her as a factor in the 100 breast as well, and also 200 IM. So just again, seeing where she's at, she's already clearly on PB form, might be able to drop a little bit lower at ACCs before going forward again at NCAAs.
Yeah. And Lucy Bell is going to be really exciting. Again, one of the three, I would say, juggernauts
Yeah.
that the Stanford women boast this year. But just those women's breaststrokes generally in this conference w- uh, will be the large part of the NCAA breaststroke at the women's meet. You've got Lucy Bell, you've got Kaylin Gridley of Duke, who is second in the 200 breast right now, seventh in the 100 breast in the conference. You've got Anastasia Gorbenko, the new addition to Louisville, who could swim anything she wants, essentially backstroke, breaststroke, IM, freestyle, probably butterfly. But right now she is sitting in second in the conference in the 100 breast and fourth in the 200 breast. You've got Amy Canny, who has also decided to swim breaststroke this year for Virginia. You've got Emma Weber, also of Virginia, the Olympian, who is seventh in the 200 and fourth in the 100. And Ellie Jefimova from NC State. Uh, just a ton of breaststroke depth in this conference specifically. And I think we're going to see a lot of those women emerge out of the ACC championships as front runners for the NCAA championships, certainly to score there as well. So that's going to be a loaded and deep field for both the 100 and 200 at this meet. And then the last the last event I am really excited to see for the ACC Women is the 400 IM. They have 10 of the top 20 ranked athletes nationally. um, and 8 of those are from, you guessed it, Stanford or Virginia. uh, so Caroline Bricker, Lucy Bell are the top 2 in the conference. You've then got 3 Cavaliers and Katie Grimes, Amy Canny, and Leah Hayes, all 403 or 404. Then you've got Tori Husk, who's also been 404, and Emily Thompson from Stanford, who's also been 404. I think it's safe to say Tori Husk isn't going to swim this event. But you have, again, 8 women in the conference who have been 404 or better. And so I think, and that's not including Anastasia Gorbenko, who's been 406. And I think there's a strong chance we see her swim this event. Again, she could swim a plethora of events, but I think this is an event we've seen her flourish in since she was 15 or 16 on the international stage. And so that women's 400 IM is going to be really, really good. And again, another great battle between the Cardinal and the Who's. Okay. I think that's it for the ACC Women. ACC Men, what are you going to be keeping your eye on, David?
I think this is potentially got a very interesting overall team race in the, because obviously newcomers Cal, they won the title last year. They're not looking quite
and Stanford
as
was second.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, but very narrowly behind Stanford was NC State. But Cal kind of blew out the other two by like 200 points. Cal isn't looking quite as sharp this year. And
big losses.
They also, even when they are in like, you know, NCAA championship contenders, they have always had enough buffer to not super focus on conference, and they, you know, haven't really needed to. Like they've been fine. Not, you know, either. Was there been a time where they were taken down at like Pac-12s by probably ASU and then outperformed them at NCAAs?
Yeah, I know that definitely happened with Stanford. I think the only time ASU won conference was the year they won NCAAs also.
Okay.
I think. But I know it's happened where Stanford has won Pac-12s and then Cal has gone on to win NCAAs.
Yes. And so, you know, Cal has maybe more than any team been able to, not just like, you know, we talked about Florida and SECs where, you know, they tend to be slower and then ramp up. They tend to build that ramp a lot earlier at conference and then go. Cal is just like a wall, and somehow it's just, oh, Here they are.
Yeah.
So they've got that, which to my point is when even if they do end up being a much higher caliber looking team in March, I don't think they have the firepower to build that big safety net. And I think I'm honestly
Yeah.
just looking through the kind of a lot of the entries. I'm liking the way NC State looks, but I'm, between them and, with how close them and Stanford were
Yeah.
last year, I'm hoping that we get a cool team battle because those are always going to be really fun. And that's just, looking through a lot of the events, that's just through line I keep seeing is like a lot of NC State, some Stanford lurking, some Cal lurking. Maybe they'll start building that ramp a little earlier this year. But that team battle is maybe of the meets we covered so far, one of the more intriguing ones I've seen.
Well, and I mean, and until Cal started emerging as like, perennial NCAA favorites, with the arrival of Dave Durden in 2008, Stanford had like I think it was a 30 plus year streak of packed of conference championships on the men's side. So they have a very rich tradition of winning conference titles. Um, and the Stanford men, it's been sort of quietly, like they're not a team we talk about a ton, but like you said, they have a really good team this year, on the men's side, and they look poised to make a statement if they want to at the conference championship. NC State, I think they had something like 8 conference championships in a row, or 8 of the last 10 on the men's side, until Cal and Stanford came in. And so I'm guessing they're going to be a little bit hungry. They're going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder to uh, regain that conference dominance, or certainly that conference title. And so Stanford and NC State are the teams that I think on paper look like they have the best shot to really be in that team race. But as we said, I think Cal in the past has not put as much focus on the conference championships. I think this year they will have to, not only to kind of get their newer and younger guys good racing experience and confidence, but just to qualify some of their guys for NCAAs. Because if they're not on their on the top of their game, they don't have the guys who have the luxury of like just kind of sitting it out or or not resting as much and qualifying for NCAAs, especially with the new rules, right? Of conference champions getting the automatic bid. So yes, I think that team race is going to be really fun. The Louisville men also look like they have some really heavy hitters, and so I think we could see what is hopefully a close team race on the men's side. The Also maybe a big question mark is the sprint freestyles, even though there's some serious depth there. You have 4 guys who have been under the 19-second barrier, but Luca Battaglini of Cal is top seed at 18-7, but then 18-8 Quentin McCarty, 18-9 Nikita Sharamet from Louisville, 18-9 Brendan Whitfield from Virginia Tech, and then a whole bunch of 19-0s and 19-1s.
Yeah.
12 guys 19-1 or better. And so it's similar story in the 100 free. Julian Koch of Pitt is your top seed at 41-1. I didn't even realize that swim happened. It was I think it was leading off a relay at the Texas Hall of Fame invite, but
Yes.
okay. Julian Koch, not a name I've heard of, but a name I will remember now.
Yeah, and that is 4th in the in all of D1 right now, tied with Dree Herbar.
Yeah. So again, some good depth in those sprint freestyle events, but wide open. I think definitely not a clear favorite, especially when you see names that you haven't really heard of before and you're like, will they be able to repeat that performance? They don't necessarily have the experience of winning a conference title or performing at that level. But also he's only the top seed in the 100 free by 6/100s to Kai Winkler. So super close field in that. I think that'll be really exciting to watch. Any other events you're excited for on the ACC men's side?
I'm particularly excited, and not necessarily any specific events, but just to see how Maximus Williamson and Thomas Heilman fare during their kind of the start of their freshman
Yeah.
season, postseason campaigns, how they handle the conference championships. They're obviously two incredibly high impact recruits for UVA. I feel like UVA men's team is a point of discussion a lot of times, just given the dominance of their women's team. Be interesting to see what they're able to do there, how these two, again, very notable, during their high school years swimmers, how they're able to transition into college. And this is they're swimmers that anytime UVA swimmers always just even at dual meets. Okay, how are they looking? How are they looking? Didn't get that you kind of mentioned this with Tennessee during relay times, right? Didn't get a traditional mid-season meet. They were also at that dual meet challenge, so
Mhm.
wasn't as much of an indicator as to where they are as it would be for other years. They still have put up some pretty quick times across their events, but I've been excited all season to see how they are, just because they were such highly anticipated recruits, and it'll be interesting to see at this increase in level, and then again in March.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe Maximus Williamson has gotten a little more attention or drawn a little more chatter than Thomas Heilman, just because he's been used on breaststroke duties for the relays or for the medley relays. A and B, people were like a little uncertain of like what he might swim or the events he might focus on, which it seems like 100 free, 200 free, 200 IM would be my safe bets for what he swims. But it feels like Thomas Heilman has kind of flown under the radar a bit. And I think it's just because there are others who swim his events in the NCAA that we've been looking at more. We're looking at Leendo in the 100 fly. We're looking at Orlando in the 200 fly. We're looking at a plethora of other guys in the 200 IM. But right now, Heilman is fourth in the 200 IM, first in the 200 fly, 139.09, and second in the 100 fly at 44.5. And so he's kind of flown under the radar, but it's like this guy could easily be a double ACC champion, in a week.
Yeah.
And then Maximus, top seed in the 200 IM, 141.6, to go along with a 132.1 in the 2 free, which is fifth. And in the 100, I think he's a little ninth at 41.8. So I'm with you. Super excited to see how these guys go in their freshman campaign, because they were our top two recruits, and I think they were top two fairly generational recruits. The last thing I'm excited for is men's distance free, specifically two underclassmen in Ethan Eck and Ryan Arisman, who have just been lighting it up this season. And you know what? I'll throw Max Carlson of NC State in there, because he was kind of a surprise too. But all three of those guys, 411 or 412 in the 500 this season. In the 1,000, Ethan Eck, 842.2, Ryan Arisman, 843.4, Max Carlson, 841.1. It's and I think all three of those were program records. And then in the mile, I don't think the mile gets weird because people swim the 1,000, end up swimming 1,000 more. You actually have another newcomer, Nathan Whiffen of Cal, top seed at 14:41, but then Eck right behind him at 43. Carlson 44.5, and Ryan Arisman 14:50.6. But all of these guys have had great seasons so far. So really excited to see, and specifically Ethan Eck and Ryan Arisman. I think Cal and Stanford have had like 3 dual meets, right? Like two against each other. And so really excited to see them go head to head once again in these distance frees when they have a little rest under them.
Yeah, that should be an interesting battle. And overall, like across the NCAA right now, it looks like there's a lot of just concentrated, like 1650 talent, like right around that same area. I just want something to feel like 2017. That's all
Mm.
I want. That's all I ask for. It hasn't happened since. We've seen faster swims thanks to Fink, but I just
Yeah.
haven't seen that long of a just prolonged distance battle. Just feeling
Oof.
like the pieces are at least showing up. They might come.
Yeah. No, if you're listening and you don't understand that reference completely,
Go watch it.
2017 NCAA championships, the men's mile, men's 1650, go watch it. It is an epic race. It was one of the craziest battle. I mean, it was a four-man battle pretty much the whole race. Uh, and so hopefully we can channel some of that energy once again at these men's ACCs or at some conference meet. Last up on our conference preview for week one of the uh, Power Four conferences is the women's Big Ten championships. Right off the bat, the 200 free for this is going to be nuts. You have Bella Sims. You have Mina Abraham. You have Stephanie Balducini, Michigan's other star standout. Sorry, Bella Sims and Balducini of Michigan. You have Mina Abraham and Claire Tuggle of USC, which again, UCLA and USC are in the Big Ten. Shouldn't be that way, but it is. But then you have newcomer Liberty Clark of Indiana. Just when you thought Indiana had lost their star 200 freestyler in Anna Poplawski, boom, freshman Liberty Clark comes in. She's been 141.27 so far this season. And the crazy part is that nets her a third seed in the Big Ten.
Yeah, remember us talking about the 142s at the SEC? We have a 140 and three 141s, and then jump all the way up to a 142.9 for fifth. Those top four are stacked.
Yeah. So that again, it was a crazy race last year at Big Tens for the top three, which was Balducini, Poplawski, and then Abraham. Those same three women were the top three at NCAA's. I mean, it looks like these four women. I don't know if they'll be top four at NCAA's again, but certainly going to be crazy and probably throw down sometimes. Might even take a 139 to win it. Who knows? But yeah, women's 200 free going to be awesome. Any events specifically you're looking forward to from these Big Ten champs?
In particular, I also am interested in the butterfly events. Those have got some. We have specifically the
Mm,
200 fly. I feel like it's gonna be pretty interesting because we have Hannah Bullard sitting as the number one seed in the 200 fly, 150.72. And then I feel like Bella Sims shows up in like every event.
I mean, like when she casually goes a 155.0 at Michigan versus Pitt versus Oakland.
Yeah, I just randomly just like, oh, well, Bella Sims, what are you doing here?
What do you
But
think
then
it is?
Alex Shackle sitting in second with a 152.98. That will be,
Yeah.
I think, a pretty interesting race. And I think Bella Sims is going to swim it.
I mean, if she did, that would be awesome. I like it will be really fun to see what Bella Sims does decide to swim because I think she's top in the NCAA right now in the 400 IM. Obviously has a great 200 free. 100 back and 200 back are legitimate options. She was second in both at NCAA's last year by a fingernail to Claire Curzan. She's like, I don't think she will go back to the 500 free, but is it a feasible option? Probably. 200 fly. I mean, I guess why not at this point? So yeah, I'm excited to see what she does end up swimming. Right above her in the conference seedings is Justina Kozan from USC, who's been 153.7, now representing Poland. I think she's had a really good season. I feel like that 153 is a really promising sign for her. That was, again, that was done at a dual meet, not even at a midseason meet. But then the top three, Miranda Grana of Indiana, who's also been 153. Don't know if we'll see her swim the two fly. I think she's usually more of a one fly, one back, two back. But obviously, she certainly has the talent to. And then Alex Shackle, newcomer for Indiana, Olympian, who has only swam, I think, two dual meets, maybe three. So I think she could surprise some people. But then, yeah, Hannah Bellard, what a monster swim, 150.7. I'm really excited to see what she can do at conference, with a little more
Yeah.
rest and not just from a dual meet. Because she's just been ascending this year. And then the 100 fly, I think, will be equally as exciting. You've got Brady Kendall from Michigan, who's been 50.9, Grana 49.9 already this season. And then Alex Shackle is in there. Liberty Clark is fifth at 51.2. I don't think she'll swim it, but that just kind of shows you her range and how good she has been as a freshman for Indiana so far. So, yeah, I think those butterflies are going to be great events to watch as well. We mentioned Miranda Grana. I think the backstrokes are going to be awesome at Big Tens as well. Again, we'll see if Bella decides to swim them, but if she does, she's obviously got the pedigree and the talent to sweep both. She's been 49-1. Jeez. And again, Michigan, another team who was at that dual meet challenge. So that was essentially at a dual meet at like one of 5 dual meets.
Yeah, I
Of
was looking. She swam so many different events through the dual meet challenge, which might explain why. So, in the first one, she led off the 4 free relay, 4 medley relay, and swam the 4 IM. And then she also swam just the 200 free at the next dual meet in that
okay.
challenge. Then she swam the 200 back, 200 IM, and led off the 200 medley relay. And then in the championship, she swam the 5 free, led off the 2 medley, and the 1 back.
You've
I
never
think she
seen
was
anything like it.
built for that kind of me where you prioritize like certain events and like points in it, and having someone you can slot wherever to be like first or second is
Mhm.
so valuable. Like she's the perfect kind of Swiss Army knife for that style of championship,
Bella
which explains
Sims.
why she's on all of these events now.
She should have been born. My math might be a little off, but 8 years earlier because she was meant for the ISL,
Oh my
right?
god. Yeah.
Short course meters, lots of dual meets, any event you need her for, 50 to 500, she can do it.
Yes.
um, yeah, but again, in the backstroke, 3 women have been under the 50-second barrier: Bella Sims, Miranda Grana, and Wisconsin's Maggie Wanizek. Mina Abraham is the 4th seed at 50.9. Again, I don't think she'll swim that, question mark, but she did do that 50.9 leading off USC's 400 medley relay. But again, shows you how good of a season Abraham has been having and the potential for her if she does decide to do that 100 back. And then in the 200 back, again, Wayne Izek has been 48.3. Sheesh. Uh, Miranda Grana has been 49.0, and then Bella has been 151.2, but that was at a dual meet, like not at the dual meet challenge, just at another
Just a regular
dual
dual
meet.
meet.
So I
Michigan
mean,
is working for her.
Michigan is working for Bella. Yeah, she seems to be thriving there. I think we know she can go much faster than that 2 back, so I think that'll be a really great showdown for the backstrokes as well. The last thing I had on my agenda was Ohio State to defend, question mark. Um, I think traditionally this is a meet that Ohio State puts a lot of stock in. I think they've won 3 of the last 4 conference championships, if not more. I know they won in 25, 23, and 22 at least. But they are the defending champions. when you scroll through, you see a lot of Michigan and a lot of Indiana and not as much Ohio State up there, but they have a very deep team. And again, I think this is a meet they focus on a lot. They have a very deep team specifically through the lens of a conference championship. Um, I think it's going to be a great team battle. I think Ohio State, I think Michigan, and I think Indiana all look really strong, and they all have experience winning conference championships. Um, I think I, I've learned not to root against Ohio State at this point. The 1 year they did lose in the recent past was 2024. Indiana won by half a point, and it came down to the last relay. Uh, and so, again, like that's like between 1,000 and 2,000 points, and it came down to half a point
That's
for
crazy.
Ohio State to not have umpteen titles in a row. So I do think OSU can defend. I think it's going to be way closer. I think Michigan and Indiana are going to be hot on their heels, and I think hopefully we'll see another close and exciting team battle in that
It's
way.
really interesting, kind of just looking through, like just a brief glance across the site sheet across the events to
Mhm.
see kind of what schools are on there. The Big Ten women are very spread out across schools. There's not nearly as big of a consolidation between 1 to 3 schools that you just see. There's a lot of Michigan, Indiana in a lot of events. There's also some where you have clusters of Wisconsin swimmers or USC
Mhm.
swimmers in there.
Mhm.
And then, OSU is lurking in a lot of events. They don't
Yeah.
have as many swimmers in that upper echelon in as many events, but once you factor in depth, and honestly, at the very start of that topic, I was like, no, I don't think so. But I also don't know who I would pick. And now I'm kind of coming over, you're making a good point with don't bet against them with like how much stock they put into it. And with the way the talent and points are kind of spread out at this meet, it feels like if a team is going to focus on it a little extra more, that might just be the bump to push it over when it's this close and have some sort, because
Yeah.
doesn't Big Ten kind of score out pretty deep?
I think it's
'Cause I
24
remember that's
as
been
well.
I
Yeah.
remember that's been a point of discussion because people talk about this, so we can have more swimmers that are like contributing to the overall points. Um, so yeah, that I started off, a minute and a half ago being, I don't think so. I'm kind of pulling for Ohio State now.
I mean, and the thing is, because we don't talk about them, and I their coach Bill Dorencott has even said this, like their team is built for conference championships. Like he takes pride, and OSU takes pride in finding those diamond in the rough swimmers who maybe other schools won't take a chance on, or who are more local that other schools haven't heard about, and developing them. And that's kind of what Coach Bill Dorencott has built his brand off of. And again, they've won like 4 or 5 conference titles in the last 6 years. And lost the only one by half a point. And so that they pride themselves on their depth and their ability to get swimmers in scoring positions at the conference championships. And I think it'll be really interesting. Obviously, Matt Bow, relatively new head coach at Michigan. Michigan women seem to be rolling. He seems to have things in order. Um, Indiana, pretty young team, but they seem to have a lot of momentum right now. OSU knows do this meet, obviously, but then as you mentioned, Lee Maurer seems to have the USC women on a good trajectory, and it seems like they're due for a good conference championships. And then Wisconsin, new head coach Jack Brown. Also, you see a lot of Wisconsin women in that top 8-16 for a lot of events. So it might honestly depend on like you said, who does put the emphasis on this meet? Like who goes into it wanting to really focus on winning the meet versus just we're here to perform well.
Yeah.
So that might be the difference maker in the end. But you have a lot of strong teams. I think it's going to be a great meet. I think it's going to be a great week. We're in for a lot of fast swims. We've seen NCAA records fall on this week with ACCs and SECs pretty much since I can remember. So there are going to be some historic swims. There's going to be some surprise fast swims throughout. So stay tuned. This was our preview for conference week number 1. David, any last conference thoughts before we sign off today?
No, I'm just excited to get into start getting into the meat and potatoes of the NCAA postseason. Conference championships are fun. That gives us enough to talk about to get through to the end of March, and this is a very exciting time. All the payoff for watching the dual meets and mid seasons at the beginning of NCAA season start getting to right about now. It's a really fun time of year for college swimming fans.
We've made it through December. We've made it through January, and now it's time for the real swimming to start. So we will see you at the conference championships.